This will be the reading for the sign of Cancer for the month of August 2026. The deck that I'm using is the Rider-Waite deck by Pamela Coleman-Smith and Arthur Waite. And what I've done is I pulled 4 overall cards for each week of the month. Also, I pulled one overall energy card, and this will be where you need to focus your energy on for each of the individual weeks of August 2026. Now, within each week, I also pulled an additional 2 cards, and that will tell you what's going to happen at the beginning of the week, the middle of the week, and the end of the week. So it's going to be a very long listen, so put your feet up, grab tea, coffee, hot chocolate, the cat, and let's get going on this. Okay, so your energy cards. Your energy card is the 3 of Pentacles, and the 3 of Pentacles is straight up. So that talks about a building project, talks about renovations, it talks about possibly working with your hands, carpentry, artistry, becoming a writer, or even a seamstress. Now, it does talk about a new job opportunity, and good money is going to be offered with this opportunity. So work is going to be meaningful. Maybe you're even going to join a service club of some sort, getting involved in a community project, possibly working for Habitat for Humanity or working for some type of commission. Now, it does talk about a creative endeavor with a group of friends or family members, building something with your hands, or getting involved in community events. It also talks about gaining popularity through something that you have created, possibly with your hands. Maybe you've built something. Have you built a tiny home? Have you built a cabin? Have you built a statue of sorts? There is something creativity that you have put out there that everybody's vying for. They're saying, wow, look at that. Well, Cancer, you're going to make new friends, and you're going to finally have that sense of pride that you've been seeking. And it does talk about a sense of pride in a creative achievement. So we're going to move into the first couple of days of that first week, knowing that your energy is going to be put into creative endeavors in your life, possibly building something, okay? It could be with your hands or even with your mind, okay? So as you're in the first couple of days of that first week, well, I don't know about you, but this looks like the marriage card. It's the 4 of Wands, straight up. And that talks about a formalization of some sort, maybe even a promotion, moving forward and upward in that echelon of power, possibly at work. It could also talk about a marriage, maybe becoming engaged or joining forces with someone in starting a new business. It also talks about completion of a goal, maybe even moving in with a romantic partner, buying a house, building a house, making improvements, maybe even renovating a home that you're living in currently. It also talks about your relationships and solidifying your relationships, your life, having good family relationships, moving, getting a place of your own. Maybe you're moving out on your own for the first time in a long time, and you're finding your way forward, okay? You're finding where it is that you belong and where you want to sink your feet in. Now, just talk about a home business, possibly working from home, a shared ownership, possibly in a business. Maybe you and a partner have joined forces to start a business of sorts. But it does talk about it paying off with greater security, improved finances, and, of course, prestige. Now, we're moving into the middle couple of days of that first week, and you have the King of Cups, and the King of Cups is straight up. Now, that would be a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. And of course, Cancer, you're a water sign, so this could be you. But it could also be someone who you're needing their advice. It could be a doctor, a counselor, a priest. I mean, it did say that possibly you were getting married, okay? It could even be a parent, or someone that you're speaking to become a caretaker to a parent of yours. Maybe you're looking for a caretaker. But it does talk about someone who takes care of others and offers assistance in some way. And it's someone who's socially responsible. Is this a type of business that perhaps you're getting involved in? Maybe a caretaking business, okay? But it does talk about promoting harmony. It talks about someone who's sensitive, loving, strong family ties. And it does say that there is going to be father issues involved. You know, and this King of Cups is going to help you in some way. So is it a father? Is it a father-in-law, a grandfather, a brother, a sibling? Okay? So we are now moving into the last 2 days of that first week, and you've got the King of Wands reversed. Now, you have 2 kings in that first week. And when you have two kings that show up in a reading, you're going to be getting some type of powerful support. However, one of the kings is reversed. The King of Wands is reversed, and that would be a fire sign individual. Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo. So it's a fire sign individual. Someone who's very domineering. Someone who's got this really big ego, okay? And, you know, they might even have a bad temper. This is the type of person that falls in love with their own ideas. Now remember, it's a fire sign, okay? And this individual doesn't really give a flute about anybody else's feelings, their ideas, or even their input. And you know, this individual is basically hated for their arrogance, okay? Out of sight, out of mind. So if it's a parental figure, it's a very tense relationship you have with them. Now, it also talks about someone who's unwilling to commit because they're self-absorbed. Now, have you wanted to join forces with a fire sign individual? And it could very well be a female energy, okay? And it does say that possibly you need to reclaim your personal power from this individual. Is this a parental figure? Is this a maternal figure? Is this a grandmother, a sister, an aunt, okay? Maybe even a partner. But it does talk about you having to cultivate your own ideas, your own thoughts, your own interests, and your own talents. And you might even need to seek out people where, you know, you feel safe with expressing your wants and your needs and even your feelings. Now, as a parental figure, okay, if this King of Wands is a female and if it's a maternal figure, okay, you might have had a dysfunctional relationship with them. And you didn't necessarily feel safe expressing yourself to them. Now, it could be a sibling, it could be an older sibling, a younger sibling. It is a female energy at this point, okay? But it does talk about you withdrawing your influence from a family situation, okay? But it could simply be that this King of Wands reversed is a parental figure of sorts that is withdrawing their energy from a relationship with you. Now, it does say, as I said, you need to reclaim your personal power from this person. And you know, you might even have to revive some element of your life. And that could simply be, maybe you took a course of study and you failed. You weren't able to achieve or accomplish graduating from that course of study. And so maybe you're having to go back and redo it or retake it, or maybe relook at your education and find something that is more suited to you. Okay, but it could also be someone who's important to you, who possibly is not doing so good in their course of study, and they're turning to you for some type of support, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, or, I mean, it could simply be psychological, okay? And maybe they felt like they weren't able to speak about their concerns to you in some way. So that first week, it does talk about powerful support. It does talk about you focusing on your home environment, your harmony, and the relationships in your life. So we're going to move into that second week. And in that second week, the first card you have is the Six of Pentacles. And it is straight up. So that's a good card because it talks about finding success by finding the balance in your life, okay? You're able to share resources because you have those additional resources. So you can share. And that's going to bring you popularity. Now have faith because you're moving forward into prosperity. So, you know, if this is the middle of the week, buy a damn ticket. Yeah, buy a lotto ticket. Now, it does say that someone that you least expect would ever help you is going to help you in some way. You never even thought they cared, and all of a sudden they step up to the plate and say, maybe you need some type of help, Cancer, financially. And this individual is saying to you, if you need help, I'm there for you. Here, you need some monetary help, I will help you out, okay? Now, they care more about you than you know, and they know more about you than you know, okay? They understand the problems with harmony in your life and where you are losing that self-confidence that you usually exude, okay? So it does talk about relationships are going to be harmonious and cooperative. People are going to help you. You're going to be very productive during this time, and there's going to be good times with family and friends. material well-being, so you might have won the lottery. It also talks about possibly you helping other people, joining a service club, doing volunteer work, paying attention to the problems of the people around you, and if you can, stepping forward to help them in some way. Now, it does talk about deception, because in the middle couple of days of that second week, you got the High Priestess, and the High Priestess is reversed. And that talks about you finding out about a deception. Well, I can see where the deception's coming from because I know what the next card is, but we'll go through with this. So you're finding out about a deception. And you know, you're really strongly attracted to mysticism. And think about it. You're listening to a tarot card reader, okay? Now, just talk about unrealistic expectations about love. Someone doesn't believe in the same spiritual beliefs they do. Okay, and there's going to be partnership problems in love or even in work, and one partner is possibly spending a lot of time with friends, overindulgence, drinking too much, smoking too much partying, okay? And it's going to create problems physically, psychologically, in your mind, mentally. So, is this you, Cancer? Are you getting involved in a group dynamic where you're not spending enough time with a family member, a friend, a mentor, a partner, okay? A love partner, a marriage partner. So it does talk about needing training. So there's possibly something taking place in your life where you're needing to get on-the-job training or extra training in order to hold on to the job or the career that you have. And it does talk about you looking for patterns in your life, okay, and hidden meanings. And, you know, the biggest thing with you this month, Cancer, is that you're looking at the psychology of things. You're trying to understand why people do the things they do, why they did what they did, okay? Maybe even why you do the things you do, why you have certain addictions in your life, whether they be gambling and alcohol, whether they be sexual addictions, anything like that. And you're really wanting to delve deep. Now, I don't know if you've gone to a counselor, maybe you've had issues from the past, and it does say that you are delving into it. You're wanting to find out the truth about things and why things are taking place in your life. So now there's going to be problems because, you know, you're doing something that you disagree with, that you're having a hard time contend with, okay? And, you know, here, this is what I see is just because you love someone doesn't mean you have to be their battering ram. You don't have to take responsibility for everybody's issues in their life, okay? Cancer, you have enough of your own. So you need to deal with your own issues at this point in time and stop wearing the gamut for everybody else. Stop taking the responsibility for everybody else's issues in your life, okay? Make them take responsibility for their own problems. So we are moving into the last 2 days of that second week. Well, it's a good card because it's a lover's card and it's straight up. So you might be finding out the truth about a relationship in your life. Maybe that relationship, maybe someone strayed a little bit. Maybe you did. Maybe you cheated on a love partner, okay? Or maybe you cheated. Hell, maybe you cheated in your taxes. It's something where you made a commitment to something and maybe you lied. Or maybe someone that made a commitment to you lied, okay? So be aware of that. But it does say that whatever it is, it's going to pass. It says you are going through a period where you're going to be able to enjoy beauty, harmony, and you're going to have to make a choice between two things. Now, were you cheating on your partner? Now you're having to choose between your partner and the person you cheated with? Don't know. That's not a good one. But it does say that you need to make a choice that's going to be very significant to your life path. Choose carefully, okay? Choose stability and home and family, or possibly you're going to choose adventure, mobility, a lot of movement, but no security. Is this really what you want? It also says that maybe one person or a partner has wealth, they have more money than the other. Is this you, Cancer? Are you wealthier than the person that you're vying to have a relationship with? Or are you poorer than them? And that's starting to create issues in the fact that maybe you don't have the financial prowess that they have. But it does talk about differences in spiritual beliefs, or even one person being more committed than another. It also talks about role reversals. Now, this could be where maybe your partner is dealing with an illness, or you're dealing with an illness and your partner is having to help you out in some way, okay? So it does talk about taking on a caretaking role, making a choice, and making that choice with your heart. It's a lot easier to help someone with their health if you care for them, if you love them, okay? These are the type of energies that I'm seeing in that second week. But it does talk about a fulfilling, deep, and spiritual need that is being met, okay? Love and romance, passion, possible marriage, possible lifetime commitment to someone or to an endeavor that you're getting involved in, wanting to help someone out while they're sick, maybe standing up to the plate and saying, I will be there for you until you get better. I will be there until your time is to cross over, okay? Those type of things. So it does talk about you're sharing the same desires and you're very well matched with this individual. But you know what, Cancer, like, don't let yourself be pushed into something that you're not ready for. This is a lifetime commitment. Is this something that you're prepared for? Are you really ready for this? You need to look at your life. You need to look in depth and look at your feelings and your thoughts and your spiritual needs, okay, and your mental needs and your physical needs and your emotional needs, all those things, even your financial needs. You need to look at all these things before you commit to a certain action, okay? And it could simply be planning to get engaged, get married, move in with somebody, or take on responsibility for them if they're ill. You know, if it is a relationship, and if you're not really sure if this relationship is something that you're prepared for long term, okay? Take your time. Take your time and make that decision with all your faculties intact, okay? Make that decision finding out all the little nuances that might come about, okay? Because some things are worth waiting for, seriously. Okay, so we are now in the third week, and in that third week, first card you have is the Three of Wands, and it is straight up. Now, that talks about looking at the future, looking out to see what else there is out there, okay? It could stand for a business interaction, even a long-distance shopping trip or a vacation, okay? It is going to be something that's going to be shared with a group of friends, maybe even 3 siblings, three people you work with, co-workers, okay? Relatives. It does talk about communications, possibly getting involved in an online community, maybe even joining a dating site online, okay? Those type of things where you are going to be able to express yourself in a written modality. It talks about work on the internet, writing, teaching, public speaking, or belonging to a committee and voicing your opinion, putting it in black and white, and literally putting it out on the World Wide Web. Now, it says about you receiving a communication that's going to come back to you. Possibly you've applied for a job, you're going to get it. You applied for a school program, you will get accepted. If you applied for a loan, you will get that loan, okay? There is going to be a recognition of your talents. 3 friends, 3 people, 3 siblings are going to join together. Are you one of them? Are you going to join with 2 other people to start an endeavor, maybe to start a business? And it could possibly be an online business. But it does talk about good job opportunities, an exciting job where you're going to be able to get out and about, where people are going to recognize your talents. You're going to receive those acknowledgments, okay? It does talk about offers or opportunities that are in the pipeline, increased activities, and you're going to meet a lot of interesting and different people from different walks of life and different cultures. So we are now in the middle couple of days of that third week. And it sounds like you're going on this big adventure. You're learning new things. You're excited about life. There's new possibilities, and this is a journey of self-development. Cancer, you're going to get involved in some type of unexpected situation that is going to spur you on to greater and better things. And it does say that, you know, you're adventurous, but you might need a little bit more experience. So it also talks about you kind of questioning someone's motives, okay? Well, don't, because they're not out to get you in any way. So they're innocent in whatever it is you're thinking they did wrong. It also talks about a new relationship, new work, new friendship, new education, new course of study, a new endeavor, a new path in life. And that second and that third week are all circling around the newness that's coming into your life. And it all stems from some type of online community, okay? It says you're going to get a second chance at your life. The things that you left in the wayside before, you're going to be able to pick them up and continue on your life journey, okay? Use your common sense, though. Use your common sense. You don't want to be going bungee jumping if that's not something that you've done before. You don't want to go cliff climbing or mountain climbing or, cliff jumping, whatever it may be, with someone that you don't completely know them, okay? Don't go jumping into something just because you think that a relationship has been solidified. You might want to check how well you know this individual and how willing you are to trust them with perhaps, mountain climbing with your life, right? So be aware of the dangers, whether it's with a relationship or whether it's with a new activity that you're getting involved in. So that's how you're going to end that second or third week, where there's going to be a lot of adventures, there's going to be new activities, new opportunities, new people, but make sure you're not jumping in wholeheartedly until you know the terrain, okay? So the last card that you have in that third week is the Three of Cups, and it's reversed. Oh, damn, I can see where this is headed. And that talks about a love triangle. Yeah, Three of Cups reversed. And other people might be a little jealous of what you've accomplished in your life, okay? They're a little jealous of your success in this new endeavor or new field of interest that you're involved in, okay? And you might receive a communication from someone who was a love partner, and they might be a little, maybe you went on this adventure to start up a business somewhere, and they were left behind, and they're kind of calling you saying, you know what, if you don't come back, I want the relationship over, right? Those type of things. But this communication that you're going to get from someone in your life is not going to give you the I love you vibe that you would expect, okay? And you might even be feeling a little bit lonely or maybe even cut off. It could talk about brothers, sisters, friends, family members that are drifting apart, even children. Maybe even someone that you care about, a sibling, a love partner, okay, a mentor, a child. They're pulling away. They're pulling away from their relationship with you, and possibly because you're too inundated with other opportunities or other businesses or other people. They feel lost. They feel isolated. Or is this vice versa? Is this you? Do you feel isolated and lost and lonely because your partner is doing other things, being involved in other opportunities, meeting other people, okay? Those type of things. Now, if it's you might be turning to food for comfort. I mean, which of us don't? When we feel slighted, we might pick up that cookie from the cookie jar, right? So be aware of that, because it will affect your health over time. Trust me. Okay, so we're in that last week, and the first card you have in that last week is the Nine of Swords, and it's reversed. You've got some anxiety building, okay? Subconsciously, you're just kind of like, you're thinking, damn, what am I going to do if my relationship breaks up, if my job breaks up? What if my support system has left me? What if my children turn away from me? What if my partner divorces me? Or what if I lose my job? Okay, you have all these things, what ifs in your head, and it's starting to get to you. Now, just talk about you having a personal hardship or history of hardship. And that could be in a relationship dynamic where you're not able to hold on to a loving, respectful relationship. Okay? It could also stand for the fact that you might feel that discussing hardship shows weakness. So you don't want anyone else to see how you're hurting inside and possibly how you're hurting from something that happened in the past, okay? And it does talk about childhood. It talks about your childhood and something that happened to you that was very traumatic, that at that point in time you didn't realize how it was going to change the dynamic in your relationships as you went forward and as you got older. You're worn out. You're worn out. You're tired of thinking about it. And you might have done something in the past that you're ashamed of or you're guilty for. And you don't know how to get over that hurdle. You don't know how to forgive yourself or to forgive the people from the past who might have caused traumatic events in your life, okay? You're waking up in the middle of the night. You're worn out. You're not sleeping good. You're not eating right. You need to talk to someone, Cancer. You need a counselor. You need a friend, a mentor, someone who understands where you're coming from and what's been going on in your life, okay? Not someone who's going to blame you or demand an explanation why you did this or why you did that, right? You want someone to listen. That's all, to listen. So some problems are clearing up, but, there's still anxieties there. They might be minor anxieties, but they're overwhelming. They're overwhelming. And you're worrying more about what could happen. Not what's going to happen, but what could happen, okay? But let it go, because it's a minor anxiety, it really is. Because no one wants to see you hurt. No one wants to see you suffer, okay? If there's a relationship in your life that needs to end, then it's going to end, simple as that, and let it go. Walk away from it. You can't force someone to love you. Okay, so we're going to move into the middle couple of days of that last week, and you have the Queen of Swords reversed. Air sign. Air sign, female, or perhaps a male, but it would be a younger male, okay? Now, you're not asserting your power because you don't want to offend them. So maybe it's a child of yours, maybe it's a sibling of yours, a younger sibling, and they've said something or hurt you in some way, okay? Or they've done something to degrade you in some way, okay? Now, it does say that you're not standing your ground. You're not protecting your boundaries because you don't want to hurt this person's feelings. They mean something to you. They're important to you. But, someone's not paying attention to the rules or the facts or the details. And that might be you, Cancer, okay? But it also talks about someone involved in an organization, possibly music, languages, journalism, a teacher, or even a corporation, okay? It could stand for a mother figure, a female who's in charge, a boss who's a female. It is a female energy, but it's someone, they don't really care about feelings. They only want to know the truth. They want to know the facts. Now, if you're a male, this could be a female counterpart. It could be a friend, an old partner, an old romantic partner, an old boss, even a teacher, okay? A counselor, a female energy. It's someone who cares, but they want to know the facts. They don't want to hear the emotions behind it. They want to know, did you or didn't you? Are you or aren't you? Do you have it or do you not have it? Okay, those type of things. Only facts. So it does talk about power struggles with this individual. It could also stand for an authority figure, a mother, a grandmother, okay? Someone who's in charge. Be diplomatic, Cancer. Be diplomatic. I mean, hold your ground. Hold your ground. Keep your boundaries firm, okay? But be persistent. But you know what? You're going to have to be polite because this person is not going to put up with any crap. Now, it could be a boss. It could be a mentor. It could be a lawyer, a judge. Maybe you've gone to court for something that happened to you in the past, or maybe you've been taken to court for some reason, okay? Be aware that this person is not going to want to hear any type of emotional play. They want to hear the facts. Simple as that. Now, did you buy a property? Maybe you weren't able to make the mortgage. Maybe you weren't able to pay your rent. Maybe you weren't able to pay the payment on a car loan, okay? Those type of things. And this individual is saying, okay, I want the facts. Why was this bill not paid? Why did you do this? Why did you not do that, right? Those type of energies are coming up here in that last week. Now, every single card in that last week you have two swords, the Nine of Swords reversed, the Queen of Swords reversed, and the finality card, you have the Death card, and it's straight up. Now, it did say that you were planning on going bungee jumping or cliff climbing or, deep sea diving, right? So this might be an individual who is questioning you as to your whereabouts. I mean, maybe somebody got hurt. Maybe somebody got hurt. Maybe somebody even passed. Maybe somebody had an accident. Maybe you were driving the other car and you got in a fender bender, okay? Something like that where you are being asked, what was your part in this? What did you know about this? We need the information that you have, and they only want the facts. So it does talk about a dramatic change or transformation. It does talk about a profound, frightening experience that's going to bring about change. You're going to review your life, okay? And it does talk about acceptance of our own mortality. So what I'm seeing here in that last week is, if you get this reading before August, I would cancel any plans that you have for the 3rd and 4th week to go mountain climbing, bungee jumping, cliff diving, deep sea diving, okay? Be aware of your safety and the safety of the people around you. So you might go cliff jumping with a partner, a friend, a sibling, a child of yours, okay? And possibly there will be a profound, frightening experience, and you're going to have to question, your ability to be able to deal with the repercussions if something does happen, right? So it does talk about a close call. It talks about a close call or a traumatic event that's going to happen to somebody else, but you're going to witness it. And that is going to bring about some very frightening thoughts in your head, okay? Now, just talk about danger to someone who's very elderly or sick. And maybe you're there and maybe you're being called upon to do CPR, right? Some type of life-saving event. And maybe someone's choking. Maybe there's a child of yours that's choking on, a burger, right? And you're being called to help them in some way. So be aware of these things. It does talk about this experience is going to open your eyes to something that you never thought was possible. I mean, maybe you're going to see someone go into cardiac arrest, and maybe you're going to decide to become a paramedic. Simple as that. But it does talk about something coming to an end. That could be a relationship, a job, a project, a program of study. You need to let go of the old in order to bring in the new. So it could possibly be that your relationship with someone is ending, and that could be a water sign. So there could be someone that you care about, someone in your life, maybe even someone that you have gone on a trip with or decided to go cliff jumping or hiking, okay, on the mountains or whatever it may be, okay? And it would be an air sign individual, so an Aquarius, a Gemini, or even a Libra. And maybe they fall, maybe they slip and they fall and they get hurt or they fall off the cliff, okay? Unexpectedly, it's going to bring about a shock to your life. It's going to bring about a shock to your life where you're literally going to change the direction or the path in your life due to experiencing this unexpected event. So Cancer, please, if you get this reading early and you're planning on going mountain climbing or bungee jumping or skydiving with an air sign individual, I might be, if it was someone you care about, I definitely would be saying, listen, I think I'm going to cancel. I don't think I'm up to it, okay? So in that month of August, be very careful what you promise to get involved in and heed my warning. So take care, Cancer, and I shall see you in the month of September. Please be safe and be wary. Namaste. Bye-bye.